Some places were never meant to be visited, even in memory. But tonight, we'll go there anyway. After all, what's a little subterranean exploration between friends? It's not like you have anything better to do with your nightmares, right? We often pretend to be afraid of the dark, but in truth, it's the light that truly blinds us. The harsh glare of reality, the inconvenient truth of our own fears. Perhaps that's why we find ourselves drawn to the shadows, to the places where the sun never dares to tread, where sanity is just a suggestion. So, settle in or don't. It really makes no difference. The story will unfold whether you're comfortable or not. Just try not to scream too loudly. We wouldn't want to wake the neighbors, or worse yet, whatever else might be listening from below. Have you ever felt watched from beneath? Not from some unseen entity in the corner of your room, but from a deeper, more primal place. The kind of gaze that seems to originate from the very earth itself, from the quiet, forgotten spaces where the world exhales its secrets. It's a curious human trait, this magnetic pull towards the forbidden, the unseen. The unspoken corners of our collective consciousness, a subtle, almost melancholic yearning to peer into the abyss. We build our grand cities, our towering monuments to light and progress. Yet our hearts still whisper of the shadowed roots that lie beneath, a silent acknowledgement of the things that lurk in the dark, just out of sight, yet always within reach of our imagination. It's as if a part of us knows, instinctively, that the true narratives of existence are not written in the sky, but etched into the damp, ancient stones of what lies below, waiting. And sometimes, those stories call out a faint, almost imperceptible hum that only certain souls are attuned to. A siren song for the unwary, or perhaps for the simply curious. It's a peculiar thing, this quiet obsession with the things that whisper from the forgotten depths. A kind of psychological spelunking into the very heart of our fears, or perhaps our desires. We pretend it's morbid curiosity, a morbid fascination with the macabre, but there's something more profound at play, a subtle current that draws us towards the murky waters of the unknown, like moths to a flame that offers only shadow. It's the thrill of the illicit, the allure of the forbidden, that hushed invitation to step beyond the velvet rope of reality and into the exclusive, if unsettling, lounge of the subconscious. We find ourselves lingering at the edges of storm drains, our imaginations sketching out the untold horrors that might reside within, all the while knowing that a single step could plunge us into a narrative from which there might be no return. A chilling irony that we rarely acknowledge. And yet, we linger, don't we? The human mind, in its infinite wisdom, often builds elaborate mental fortresses to protect itself from the uncomfortable truths that lie just beyond the veil of normalcy. Yet it simultaneously leaves a little back door ajar, just in case something truly fascinating decides to peek in. We're so terribly predictable in our self-deception, aren't we? This quiet obsession with the subterranean, with the unseen, it's not about the darkness itself, but about what the darkness promises. A narrative unbound by the rules of the waking world. A story that can finally breathe without the suffocating constraints of logic or reason. It's the quiet hum of an unanswered question, a persistent itch beneath the skin of our perception, a gentle yet persistent tug on the thread of our curiosity, pulling us closer to the precipice of understanding, or perhaps misunderstanding. It's a whisper, really, not a shout. A soft invitation to explore the inverse of our sunlit lives, the shadowed negative of our brightly lit existences. This fascination with the world beneath us, with the unseen and the unremarked upon. It's a form of escapism, perhaps a gentle surrender to the idea that there are more things in heaven and earth, and certainly under the earth, than are dreamt of in our philosophy. We tell ourselves it's a passing fancy, a fleeting thought, but the idea lingers, a subtle presence in the periphery of our thoughts, like a half-remembered dream that refuses to fully dissipate. It's the allure of the unknown, the tantalizing whisper of what could be, rather than what simply is, a sweet, dangerous melody that calls to the deepest, most adventurous parts of our souls, promising both revelation and ruin. And so, we find ourselves drawn to the edges of these forbidden places, our breaths held, our hearts beating a rhythm of hesitant anticipation, a silent acknowledgement of the threshold we're about to cross. It's the melancholic beauty of the unlit, the quiet majesty of the forgotten, a place where time itself seems to slow, to gather itself, waiting for an opportune moment to unravel the familiar and weave something entirely new, entirely unsettling. This unseen world beneath our feet, it's a mirror, perhaps, reflecting the hidden anxieties and unspoken fears that we keep so carefully tucked away, the parts of ourselves that we rarely acknowledge, even to ourselves. It's a silent, yet powerful, call to adventure, a beckoning finger pointing into the darkness, promising a journey unlike any other. The ground beneath us, solid and reassuring, suddenly feels thin, almost translucent, as if a mere shift in perception could reveal the labyrinthine passages that lie just out of sight. Humming with an unseen life, we walk above it, oblivious to its silent operations, its hidden currents, its forgotten histories. Yet somehow, on a deeper, more primal level, we are always aware of its presence, its patient, enduring watchfulness. It's the quiet understanding that for every structure that stands proudly in the sun, there is a shadowed counterpart, a foundational darkness that cradles its existence, a symbiotic relationship between light and shadow that we so often choose to ignore. And it's from this very shadow that the quietest, most insistent whispers tend to emanate, beckoning us closer, daring us to listen. This profound, almost spiritual connection to the hidden depths, it's not about fear, not really. It's about understanding, about a subconscious yearning to connect with the forgotten narratives of our world. The tales whispered by the very earth itself, older than language, older than memory. It's the melancholic beauty of the unvisited, the silent grandeur of the things that exist purely for their own sake, untouched by the gaze of humanity, yet eternally present, eternally waiting. And sometimes, when the world above grows too loud, too bright, too demanding, we find ourselves yearning for the quiet solace of the underground, for the gentle yet insistent pull of its unspoken stories, a soft, almost imperceptible call that promises a different kind of understanding, a darker, more profound wisdom, a journey into the heart of everything we try to forget. We descend, one step at a time. It's an almost ritualistic motion, this surrender to the earth's maw, a voluntary plunge into the belly of the beast. The air thickens instantly, a cloying, humid embrace that coats the tongue and clings to the lungs. There's the distinct, metallic tamps of rust, mixed with something else, something organic and undeniably ancient, a scent that whispers of things long forgotten and best left undisturbed. Your shoes find purchase on the slick, uneven concrete, each cautious movement echoing unnaturally in the confined space, a sound swallowed and distorted by the oppressive silence that seems to press in from all sides. A single drop of water, fat and cold, splatters on your cheek, a tiny, almost playful touch in the otherwise unyielding dark, a harbinger of the persistent, rhythmic asterisk, asterisk, drip, 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 asterisk, asterisk, that quickly becomes the only constant sound. The mold-encrusted brick walls loom, their rough surfaces shimmering faintly in the meager light that dares to penetrate this far. They feel alive. In a way, they're cold, damp skin breathing out the sour, earthy breath of the deep, a silent testimony to countless forgotten seasons. Each step deeper is a conscious choice, a deliberate severing of ties with the world above, a world that now feels impossibly distant, a fading memory of sunlight and open air. It's a strange kind of liberation, this descent, as if shedding the weight of the mundane, even as the air grows heavier, more oppressive. A curious sense of detachment washes over you, a quiet amusement at the sheer audacity of your own presence here, in a place so clearly designed for absence, for oblivion. You find yourself standing at the edge of a storm drain, the maw of it gaping like a forgotten deity, framed by the skeletal remains of forgotten detritus, and for some reason, you go in. It's not bravery, not really. It's something far more insidious, a quiet pull, an almost gentle persuasion, like a forgotten melody suddenly remembered and impossible to ignore. Perhaps it's the sheer absurdity of it, the quiet humor in stepping willingly into a place so utterly devoid of logic or comfort. There's a subtle chill that permeates everything, not merely from the temperature, but from something deeper, something that seeps into the very marrow of your bones, a cold that promises to linger. The air, once merely humid, now feels like a physical presence, a thick, living thing that presses against your skin, making each breath a conscious effort. It tastes of damp earth and something else, something subtly sweet and rotten, like forgotten fruit left to fester in the dark. The faint light you carry, or perhaps the light that seems to emanate from within your own hesitant hope, casts long dancing shadows that stretch and twist, morphing into fleeting, grotesque shapes that seem to mock your every move. It's a dance of light and shadow, played out on the stage of your own mounting unease, a silent symphony of apprehension. The sound of dripping water intensifies, becoming a chorus, 1,000 tiny voices weeping in the dark, each drop a punctuation mark in the unfolding narrative of your slow descent. It's a hypnotic rhythm, capable of both soothing and unsettling, a constant reminder of the unseen forces at play, the relentless march of time and decay. The walls around you seem to press in, not aggressively, but with a quiet, knowing intimacy, as if they've been waiting for you, patiently, for eons. The cold, unyielding brick whispers of countless lives that have brushed against its surface, countless secrets absorbed into its porous embrace, and now, perhaps, your own. You are no longer merely in a sewer, you are of it. The grimy water that seeps into your shoes, the musty air that fills your lungs, the echoing silence that envelops you, it all becomes a part of you, subtly, insidiously. It's a perverse baptism, a descent into a forgotten realm where the rules of the surface world no longer apply, a quiet dismantling of your preconceived notions of safety and sanity. The feeling isn't fear, not yet. It's something akin to wonder, a chilling fascination with the absolute blackness that stretches out before you, an almost irresistible urge to discover what secrets it might hold, what forgotten truths it might reveal. And as the last vestiges of the world above recede, swallowed by the curving concrete and the ever-present gloom, a peculiar sense of calm settles over you, a strange acceptance of the path you've chosen. The air grows heavier still, thick with the unsaid and the unknown, and a faint, almost imperceptible hum seems to vibrate through the very ground beneath your feet, a low, resonant thrum that promises something more, something deeper, something that waits just beyond the next turn, patiently, endlessly. Inside the sewer, clocks hold no meaning. The ticking of a second hand, that relentless march of moments, simply dissolves into the damp, echoing air, rendered irrelevant by the oppressive stillness that permeates every shadow. Here, minutes stretch into an eternity, each one distended and distended again, like a slow, agonizing breath that never quite exhales. You find yourself adrift in a peculiar kind of temporal soup, where the very fabric of time seems to have frayed, its threads unraveling into a single, suffocating moment that refuses to progress, refuses to end. It's a cruel joke, perhaps, this liberation from the tyranny of schedules, replaced instead by the crushing weight of endless, unquantifiable duration. Hours vanish as if they were never truly there, swallowed by the indistinguishable gloom, leaving behind only a vague, unsettling sensation of unspent existence. Was it moments ago you entered, or an age? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, its meaning lost somewhere in the silent, swirling currents of unseen water. This space is a liminal void, a forgotten pocket of non-existence, where the familiar linearity of past, present, and future collapses into a bewildering, indistinguishable haze. The then of the surface world, the now of your current descent, and the future that seems to stretch endlessly before you. They all merge, blurring into one long, suffocating continuum of dim light and damp air. The concept of yesterday becomes a distant, shimmering mirage, almost laughable in its irrelevance, while tomorrow feels like a cruel, unattainable promise, a joke whispered by the echoing pipes. Your own internal rhythm, once so meticulously calibrated by sunlight and alarms, begins to unravel, untethered from any external cues. The natural urge for sleep, for hunger, for any of the body's predictable cycles, becomes a bizarre, insistent hum, out of sync with the timeless drift of this subterranean world. It's like trying to dance to a song only you can hear, a silent, internal rebellion against the profound, inescapable stillness. Every drip of water, every distant, unidentifiable scuttling sound, could be a second, or an hour, or an eon. The air itself seems to thicken with unspoken eons, a heavy blanket woven from forgotten time. You might raise a hand to check for a watch, only to find the gesture feels absurd, a relic of a world that no longer applies, a comical attempt to impose order on the beautiful, terrifying chaos of non-team. There's a strange, almost liberating terror in it, the complete surrender to a reality where the very concept of progress, of moving forward, has been playfully, malevolently excised. This isn't merely a place where time slows. It's a place where time ceases to be. It's a cosmic prank, a grand illusion where your most fundamental understanding of existence is subtly, yet utterly, undermined. The walls, slick with an ancient film, seem to absorb any lingering notion of a ticking clock, of deadlines, of appointments. All that remains is the profound, echoing emptiness, filled only with the hum of your own disoriented consciousness, trying desperately to find a foothold in a dimension that simply refuses to play by the rules. It's almost funny, isn't it, how we cling to such trivialities as minutes and hours, only to have them evaporate like morning mist in the face of true, unyielding void. The only way to measure existence here is by the increasing weight in your limbs, the subtle ache in your eyes, the quiet thrum of your own beating heart, the biological clock fighting a losing battle against an infinite present. You find yourself observing the slow, almost imperceptible growth of moss on a distant pipe, realizing that its sluggish expansion is the only true indicator of anything resembling passage, a testament to a different, more patient kind of existence. This stagnant current of time wraps around you, a suffocating shroud, pulling you deeper into its unchanging heart. And as you drift through this timeless realm, a chilling thought begins to solidify, not with panic, but with a quiet, melancholic acceptance. If time holds no sway here, then perhaps neither do departures. Night begins. Or perhaps it simply deepens into a more profound, more encompassing form of twilight, a perpetual dusk that has no dawn. But sleep never arrives. It hovers, a cruel illusion just beyond reach, like a lover's hand pulled away just as your fingers brush hers. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and something indefinable, something metallic and sweet, seems to hum with an insidious energy that vibrates deep within your skull, keeping every nerve awake, every sense painfully alert. Your eyes, strained from the perpetual low light, begin to play tricks, conjuring phantom movements in the periphery of your vision, a silent ballet of nothing. Voices crawl through the pipes, not screams, no, nothing so crude or mercifully direct. Instead, they are soft things, insidious and intimate, like secrets breathed directly into your ear. Sometimes, it's a faint, distorted lullaby, a melody from childhood, twisted just enough to feel profoundly wrong, a comfort warped into a disquieting echo. Then, a moment later, it might be the ghost of regrets, your own unspoken failures and missed chances, murmuring just at the edge of comprehension, each whisper a tiny needle prick to the soul. And then, the most unnerving of all, the echo of your mother calling your name, not with urgency, but with a lingering, almost mournful tenderness, a sound that should bring solace, but here only brings a fresh wave of chilling despair. The sewer, it seems, reflects you, but not kindly. It doesn't mirror your strengths or your virtues. It amplifies your most private anxieties, your deepest vulnerabilities, holding them up for your inspection in the distorting funhouse mirror of its damp, claustrophobic expanse. Every doubt you've ever harbored, every fear you've meticulously tucked away, finds a voice here, a low, guttural murmur that snicks through the unseen crevices of the brickwork, making the very walls feel alive with your own suppressed dread. It's a psychological torture, a slow, deliberate dissection of your innermost self, performed by an unseen entity that knows your mental landscape better than you do. You try to block them out, these insidious auditory illusions, but they are like smoke, seeping through every defense, curling around your thoughts until you can no longer distinguish between the echoes from the pipes and the voices in your own mind. The darkness becomes a canvas for these auditory hallucinations, each one more vivid, more personal than the last. You might swear you hear the faint, mocking laughter of someone you once wronged, or the strained silence of a promise broken, each sound tailored precisely to inflict the maximum amount of exquisite discomfort. It's a bespoke horror designed just for you, delivered with an almost playful malice. The air itself seems to thicken with these disembodied whispers, each one carrying the weight of a forgotten memory, a half-buried trauma. The scent, once just damp earth, now seems infused with a faint, metallic temps, like old blood, or, perhaps, the scent of fear itself. There's a peculiar irony in it. The very silence of this place is shattered not by external noise, but by the echoes of your own internal turmoil, meticulously curated and projected back at you by unseen orchestrators. You are not alone, you realize, but your companions are not flesh and blood. They are the spectres of your own psyche, given terrible, audible form. The constant drip, which once seemed merely a measure of time, now takes on a new, more sinister meaning. Each drop a tiny punctuation mark in the endless stream of these invading thoughts, these parasitic sounds. It's as if the sewer itself is a vast, living ear, listening to the very rhythm of your unraveling mind, and then whispering back exactly what you least want to hear. The faint light you carry, or that which your mind still desperately clings to, flickers with each fresh wave of auditory assault, threatening to extinguish completely, leaving you in absolute, unbearable darkness with only these soft, cruel voices for company. And as the whispers deepen, twisting familiar sounds into monstrous echoes of your past, you understand, with a chilling clarity, that this place doesn't just want to scare you, it wants to know you, intimately, and it wants to ensure that no matter how tired your body becomes, no matter how desperate your mind is for oblivion, true sleep will simply never, ever come. Your body screams for rest. It aches with a profound, bone-deep weariness that feels less like exhaustion and more like a slow, systemic collapse. Every muscle fibers twitches, begging for release, for the sweet oblivion that sleep promises. But the air here denies it. It's not merely that you can't sleep, it's that the very atmosphere itself actively repels it, a pervasive, unseen force pushing against the closing of your eyes, against the slowing of your mind. Here sleep is an unreachable horizon, a shimmering oasis that perpetually recedes, always out of sync, always interrupted by the insidious whispers and the relentless, chilling knowledge that something waits. The horror of sleeplessness in this place isn't just about the physical toll. It's about the slow, agonizing turn of your mind against you. Your thoughts, once your loyal companions, become saboteurs, twisting and churning with an unnatural energy. Memories, both real and imagined, flash and fade with unsettling speed. Fragmented and distorted, like old film reels played backward and forward simultaneously. You might find yourself arguing with specters of your past, or planning elaborate escapes that unravel into a logical nonsense before they even begin. The quiet hum of your own consciousness becomes a frantic, buzzing chaos, a maddening symphony of unbidden anxieties and phantom sensations. Every shadow deepens, morphing into grotesque caricatures of your waking fears. The distant drip, once a mere sound, now resonates with the rhythm of your own frantic heartbeat, each drop a tiny hammer striking against the inside of your skull. You try to force your eyes shut, to plunge into the blessed darkness of unconsciousness, but the lids feel impossibly heavy, yet stubbornly unwilling to truly seal. It's a macabre game, this prolonged wakefulness, a perverse experiment in mental endurance, where the only prize is a deeper descent into madness. And somehow, you know, with a chilling certainty, that it is watching, amused by your struggle. The air itself seems to be infused with a subtle, almost imperceptible current of dread, an energetic field designed to keep you on edge, eternally vigilant. You might lean against a cold, damp wall, seeking some fleeting comfort, only for the brick to seem to vibrate with a low, taunting frequency, jolting you back into a painful awareness. Your own breath feels alien, too loud, too shallow, a constant reminder of the fragile, living thing you still are, trapped in this timeless, dreamless purgatory. The concept of a comfortable bed, of a soft pillow, becomes a cruel, almost sarcastic memory, a distant echo of a world that feels impossibly far away. This sleeplessness is a meticulously crafted torment, a psychological pressure cooker designed to strip away your sanity, layer by excruciating layer. Without the cleansing reset of sleep, your perceptions distort, your grip on reality loosens, and the line between what is truly happening and what your tormented mind is conjuring begins to blur into an indistinguishable, terrifying mess. You might see patterns in the stains on the wall, interpret the echoes of the sewer as coherent, menacing whispers, or find yourself conversing with an imaginary companion, all while a part of you, the last sane part, watches in horrified fascination. The perpetual state of semi-awareness is worse than outright terror. It's a grinding, relentless erosion of your spirit, where every passing moment feels like an eternity, yet simultaneously vanishes without a trace. Your thoughts snag and repeat, caught in endless loops of anxiety and self-doubt. fueled by the relentless refusal of your body to surrender to the sweet release of slumber. There's a particular kind of irony in this place, a dreamscape of nightmares that paradoxically denies you the very dreams that might offer some brief, if fleeting, respite. And as the exhaustion deepens, pulling you closer to the edge of delirium, you begin to wonder if this isn't the point of it all, not to scare you to death, but to simply keep you awake, waiting for something, for someone, to finally emerge from the deeper shadows. Knowing you're too weary to resist, too broken to fight, they blink. From shadows you cannot reach, impossible depths that swallow what little light dares to pierce them, they emerge. Not a single eye, no, but a constellation of them. Luminous orbs that drift and shift with an unnerving, deliberate slowness, like disembodied fireflies caught in a subterranean current. Each one is a perfect, amber circle, rimmed with an intelligent, ancient knowing, and within their depths, a pupil that seems to dilate and contract with an almost predatory awareness. They are not attached to a body, not visibly. They simply are, suspended in the heavy, humid air, a silent, ocular judgment of your presence, your exhaustion, your slow unraveling. This is the first true encounter with Pennywise. Not his grotesque form, not his painted grin, but his gaze, pure and undiluted. It is a gaze that is terrifying in its sheer lack of emotion, yet somehow filled with an almost cosmic amusement. Cold, timeless, and utterly unblinking, save for those slow, deliberate blinks that feel like the turning of geological ages. You feel watched, yes, but more than that, you feel measured. Each floating orb seems to meticulously take your inventory, assessing your every tremor, every flicker of fear, every desperate attempt to maintain your crumbling composure. It's as if they are tasting you, a gourmet sampling of fine wine, savoring the subtle notes of your escalating dread. The silence around you deepens, if such a thing were possible, as these eyes drift closer. Their light, if you can even call it light casting, no discernible shadows, only illuminating the profound emptiness around them. They move with an impossible grace, weaving intricate, unspoken patterns in the air, a silent dance of appraisal. You try to fix your gaze on one, to understand, to rationalize, but they shimmer, shift, and multiply. A kaleidoscope of knowing, watchful spheres. It's like being trapped in a gallery where the portraits are alive, and every single one stares directly into your soul, dissecting its every flaw with chilling precision. There's no aggression in their movement, no overt threat, only this unnerving, profound observation. And that, in itself, is a horror. It suggests a patience beyond human comprehension, an entity that has all the time in the world to simply observe, to truly understand the intricacies of your fear before it decides to act. The air, already thick with unspoken things, now feels charged with an electric anticipation, a palpable sense of being utterly exposed, laid bare beneath this ancient, assessing gaze. It's a violation, not of your body, but of your innermost self, your very mental privacy stripped away by these silent, hovering orbs. Each blink, slow and deliberate, feels like a silent, sardonic chuckle, a private joke shared between the observer and the observed. You try to look away, to break the connection, but your eyes feel glued to the mesmerizing, terrible light of them, drawn in by an irresistible, morbid curiosity. They pulse faintly, almost imperceptibly, with a soft, internal glow that seems to mock the very concept of darkness, illuminating only themselves and the profound, aching vulnerability of your own terror-stricken face. This isn't a hunt. It's a profound, terrifying communion. The exhaustion that gnaws at your bones, the mental fatigue that blurs your thoughts, it all seems to be part of the show. A meticulously prepared meal for these silent watchers. They seem to feed not on your struggle, but on the raw, unadulterated essence of your fear, extracted slowly, exquisitely, through the sheer pressure of their unyielding gaze. It's a consumption of your very spirit, a quiet, horrifying act of spiritual cannibalism, performed with an almost elegant detachment. And you, the unwilling participant, can do nothing but watch back, trapped in their silent, reflective depths. As the floating eyes begin to recede, fading back into the impenetrable shadows from which they emerged, leaving behind only the lingering sensation of a profound, cold scrutiny, a new terror dawns. You realize that they weren't just watching you, measuring you, tasting you. They were also planting something, sowing a seed of insidious, unsettling memory deep within your mind, a preview of what is yet to come. Suddenly, the walls twist. The damp, grimy brick no longer feels like a solid, unyielding surface, but something malleable, something breathing, undulating with a sickening, liquid motion. The air, heavy with a stench of mildew and decay, subtly shifts, gaining an almost imperceptible sweetness, like stale cotton candy left out in the rain. Before you, in what moments ago was a narrow, endless corridor, a carnival begins to breathe into existence, not with a sudden flash, but with a slow, agonizing creep, like a film developing in corrupted chemicals. Rusted rides, skeletal and silent, emerge from the shadows, a Ferris wheel with empty, swaying gondolas that groan like tormented souls. A merry-go-round whose painted horses are frozen in mid-gallop, their eyes hollowed and staring. Silent crowds begin to materialize around you, spectral figures composed of shadow and half-light, their faces indistinct, their presence chillingly palpable. They move with an unnatural stillness, a slow, dreamlike drift, their gazes fixed on nothing in particular, yet somehow utterly aware of your intrusion. There's no sound from them, no murmur of conversation, no scuff of feet only, the profound, suffocating silence of a forgotten dream. And then, woven into the fabric of this eerie tableau, you hear it, laughter, not joyous, not innocent, but laughter stuck in loops, echoing endlessly, a tinny, distorted sound that repeats a single, mirthless cackle, growing louder, then fading, only to begin anew, a maddening, cyclical torment. This isn't just a place, it's a memory that refuses to fade, a trauma preserved in the amber of eternal dampness. Pennywise's past unfolds like a dying parade, each rusted ride, each silent figure, a grotesque artifact from a carnival that never truly ended, never truly began. It's a vision so profoundly sad, so steeped in a melancholic horror, that it almost overshadows the terror. You realize this is the stage upon which it has always performed, a perpetually decaying backdrop for an endless, predatory show. The air now carries a faint, sickening scent of popcorn mixed with something else, something cloyingly sweet and putrid, a scent that clings to your throat and makes your stomach clench. The warped, looping laughter is the soundtrack to this spectral circus, a constant reminder of the joy that has been perverted, the innocence devoured. You try to discern faces in the silent crowd, to find some recognizable feature, but they remain tantalizingly indistinct, just beyond the grasp of clear vision, like figures glimpsed in a fading nightmare. The ground beneath your feet, once solid and slick, now feels uneven, almost springy, as if you're walking on the long-rotted remnants of sawdust and scattered confetti, a macabre carpet that whispers of countless forgotten footsteps. It's a cruel, ironic jest, this circus, a celebration of fear, a monument to despair. The rides, in their silent, rusted grandeur, seem to hum with an almost imperceptible energy, a latent power waiting to be unleashed, yet forever trapped in stillness. The Ferris wheel creaks softly as an unseen breeze whispers through its ancient spokes, a sound like dry bones rattling. You feel a strange sense of empathy, a melancholic connection to these forgotten amusements, forever trapped in their broken state, much like the fragmented memories they represent. It's a chilling form of immortality, a perpetual loop of what once was, now merely a decaying echo of joy twisted into something profoundly unsettling. Each loop of laughter, each silent, drifting spectre in the crowd, tightens the invisible noose around your mind, pulling you deeper into the melancholic embrace of Pennywise's twisted history. It's not a place you can simply walk through. It's a memory you are forced to inhabit, to feel, to breathe. The oppressive stillness is occasionally broken by the soft, almost imperceptible scrape of something unseen moving just beyond the visual distortion. A shadow within a shadow, a subtle hint of the entity that orchestrates this macabre illusion. And as the looping laughter grows momentarily louder, before receding once more into its maddening repetition, a chilling realization washes over you. This isn't just a show for you to watch. You are, in fact, becoming part of the audience, one more silent figure in the forgotten crowd, drawn deeper into the suffocating, eternal performance. Then you see a child. They appear not with a sudden shock, but as if they had always been there, just beyond the edge of your perception, now gently brought into focus by the dim, ambient gloom. Alone, silent, standing perfectly still in the decaying, spectral carnival, amidst the rusted rides and the looping, mirthless laughter. They are small, impossibly small, dressed in what seems to be faded, outmoded clothing, a ghostly whisper from another era. Their face is indistinct in the low light, a blur of innocence and profound, ancient sorrow. But in their hand, held aloft with an unnerving, unwavering grip, is a red balloon. A familiar, impossibly vibrant red, a stark, almost violent splash of color against the grays and browns of the sewer's endless decay. And it never It hangs there, perfectly spherical, unnaturally buoyant, defying the damp, heavy air, defying gravity, defying all the laws of the natural world. It simply hovers, a silent, mocking beacon of unnatural joy. The child never ages, never blinks, their gaze fixed on something you cannot see, or perhaps, fixed on nothing at all, a quiet void. They are a symbol of trauma preserved, of innocence frozen in a perpetual state of fear, a chilling monument to all that Pennywise has consumed and twisted. This child is not yours, you know that. Not a fragment of your own past, yet their presence is profoundly personal, their stillness a haunting accusation. There's a deep, aching sadness emanating from them, a profound loneliness that settles into your bones, colder than the damp air. It's the kind of sorrow that speaks of eons, of endless repetitions, of a quiet suffering that has simply been for longer than memory can stretch. You feel an irresistible urge to reach out, to offer comfort, to break the awful stillness. But your limbs feel heavy, unresponsive, as if encased in the very concrete that surrounds you. And as you try to move, to speak, a silent, chilling truth sears itself into your mind. They remember your name. Not a name you've spoken here, not a name they could possibly know, but the quiet, secret name of your deepest fears, whispered by your own unconscious. The child doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge your presence with a nod or a flicker of an eye, yet their very being projects an undeniable awareness, a silent recognition that chills you to the core. It's as if they have been waiting, patiently, for you to find them. A final piece of the macabre puzzle Pennywise has so carefully laid out. The red balloon, so innocently buoyant, now seems to pulse with a faint, internal light. A living, beating heart of dread, reflecting the warped reality of this forgotten place. It's almost comical, the simplicity of it. A child and a balloon, yet infused with such potent, existential horror. This encounter isn't about direct threat. It's about profound, spiritual disquiet, a gut-wrenching sense of poetic injustice. The child is a pure embodiment of the stolen innocence, the dreams that never had a chance to fully form, now trapped in this eternal twilight. Their presence anchors you to the grim reality of Pennywise's true nature, not just a monster, but a collector of souls, a weaver of living nightmares. And in that quiet, terrible understanding, you feel a connection, an unbreakable, invisible thread linking you to this silent, eternal child. The looping laughter of the forgotten circus seems to intensify around the child, as if they are the silent conductor of this auditory torment, the heart of the horrifying symphony. You search their still, indistinct face for any sign of emotion, any flicker of life, but there is only the profound, ancient stillness, a reflection of the endless, unchanging nature of the sewer itself. And as the realization sinks in that this child is a permanent fixture, an eternal resident, you feel a terrifying kinship with their unending torment. And as the child remains motionless, clutching that impossible red balloon, you understand, with a cold clarity, that they are not a victim to be saved, but a haunting, unwavering witness, ensuring that you, too, will never truly escape the shadow of what has been. Pennywise doesn't feast on flesh. That, you realize, with a cold, almost detached horror, is merely a byproduct, a convenient wrapper for the true delicacy. No, he gorges on fear. He is the gourmet of dread, a connoisseur of psychic anguish, savoring your slow descent into madness with the refined palate of a sommelier, appreciating a vintage wine. The damp, heavy air, which once only smelled of decay, now carries a subtle, almost imperceptible tang of something else, something sharper, like ozone before a storm, or perhaps the very essence of adrenaline evaporating into the ether. It's the scent of your own unraveling, and he breathes it in deeply. This isn't about physical consumption, it's about spiritual gluttony. He doesn't want your body. He craves the exquisite, raw terror that emanates from your breaking mind. Every shiver that runs down your spine, every frantic beat of your heart, every strangled gasp of apprehension each, is a delicious morsel to him, a tiny, vibrating tremor in the symphony of your escalating dread. He needs you awake, wide-eyed and hyperware, so that every single nuance of your terror can be meticulously observed, catalogued, and ultimately savored. Sleep, then, becomes the ultimate escape, the one thing he cannot allow, for a sleeping mind yields no harvest of fear. The whispers in the walls, the looping laughter of the forgotten circus, the silent, watching child, they are all instruments in his orchestra of dread, carefully orchestrated to play upon your most tender vulnerabilities. He sculpts your fears with the precision of a master artisan, not with brute force, but with insidious suggestion, with the subtle manipulation of your perceptions. A flicker in the shadows becomes a lurking monster. A distant pipe groan becomes a hungry growl. He doesn't need to create the terror. He merely needs to awaken what already lies dormant within you, magnifying it until it consumes you whole. The true horror of Pennywise's nature isn't his monstrous form, which is merely a theatrical flourish, a costume for his performance. It's his profound, ancient understanding of the human psyche, his ability to pinpoint the precise fears that will resonate most deeply within each individual soul. He doesn't just scare, he knows. He understands the unique flavor of your specific anxieties, whether it's the fear of abandonment, the dread of inadequacy, or the quiet terror of losing your mind. And he cultivates those fears with diligent, horrifying patience, letting them ripen to their peak before he begins his feast. You can almost feel his presence now, closer, more palpable, not as a physical entity, but as an oppressive weight in the air, a silent, ravenous hunger. It's an energy that prickles your skin, makes the hairs on your arms stand on end, an invisible pressure that seems to squeeze every last drop of courage from your heart. He doesn't need to show himself fully. His essence, his insatiable appetite for your terror, is enough to fill this entire subterranean world, making every shadow a potential hiding place, every sound a prelude to his arrival. The exhaustion, which has been your constant companion, now takes on a new, more sinister purpose. It's not just a sign of your failing body, it's part of his intricate design. The more depleted you become, the more vulnerable, the more exquisitely sensitive you are to every psychological torment he inflicts. He needs your mind clear enough to suffer, yet broken enough to be utterly helpless. It's a cruel balance, maintained with the precision of a master puppeteer pulling at invisible strings. And as the understanding of his true, horrifying diet settles in, a chilling thought whispers through your mind. You are not merely lost in this sewer, nor are you simply trapped. You are, in essence, becoming his slow, agonizing meal, a feast of terror prepared especially for him, course by agonizing course. Nothing stays as it was. The sewer, which once felt like a static, unchanging labyrinth of concrete and damp earth, now, subtly, terrifyingly, begins to reshape itself around you. It's not a sudden, dramatic transformation, but a slow, insidious metamorphosis, like a dream bleeding into reality. Hallways breathe, their cold, hard surfaces seeming to undulate with a soft, organic rhythm, as if the very pipes and bricks are imbued with a grotesque, hidden life force. What was a straight passage moments ago now imperceptibly curves, leading you further into the heart of its ever-changing nightmare, each turn a new, unsettling surprise. Familiar objects, if such a thing can even exist in this realm, begin to take on skin. A rusted grate might suddenly seem to ripple with muscle beneath its metallic surface. A discarded, waterlogged shoe might appear to pulse with a faint, arterial beat. It's a surreal, disturbing alchemy, where the mundane becomes the monstrous, infused with a horrifying vitality. The boundaries between inanimate and animate blur, making every surface a potential source of uncanny dread, every shadow a shifting, living thing. This is a cruel joke, played out on the canvas of your own dissolving sanity, where reality itself is merely a suggestion. Your thoughts are no longer your own. That's the most terrifying realization. They feel altered, subtly invaded, as if a master artist has gained access to the gallery of your mind and begun to repaint its most intimate scenes. Pennywise now paints your dreams with blood and nostalgia, a sickening blend that makes the horror all the more potent. A cherished childhood memory, perhaps a warm, sunny day, might suddenly be splattered with a crimson stain, or a familiar, comforting face might twist into a grotesque, fanged grin, all while retaining just enough of its original form to be recognizable, and thus truly agonizing. This isn't just about hallucination, it's about active, malevolent control over your internal landscape. He delves into the deepest recesses of your subconscious, plucking out your dearest memories, your most sacred hopes, and then defiles them with a playful, artistic cruelty. The air itself seems to shimmer with these invasive thoughts, making it hard to distinguish between your own internal monologue and the insidious narratives being woven directly into your mind by an unseen hand. It's a violation of the most personal kind, a stripping away of your mental sovereignty, leaving you a mere canvas for his dark artistry. You might catch a glimpse of something familiar in the shifting walls, the pattern of wallpaper from your childhood home. the texture of a loved one's hand only, for it to immediately contort, to weep tears of blood, or to whisper a scathing, personal insult. This manipulation of your internal world is a refinement of his feeding process, a way to extract the purest, most exquisite fear by turning your own sanctuary against you. There's a peculiar, almost sardonic humor in this. The way he uses your own emotional attachments as weapons, turning comfort into a source of profound terror. The sensation is akin to having your brain rewired, piece by agonizing piece, with each new connection designed to amplify your distress. The constant exhaustion only exacerbates this, making your mind a fertile ground for these implanted nightmares, these dreams sewn into the very fabric of your perception. You try to anchor yourself, to grasp onto a solid, unchanging thought. But even that thought seems to fray, to unravel, to twist into something alien and menacing. And as the sewer continues its slow, organic transformation, and your internal world becomes a playground for Pennywise's creative cruelty, a chilling question begins to whisper from the newly pulsing walls. If your dreams can be sewn into flesh here, what parts of you are next? A chilling realization dawns, not with a sudden clap of thunder, but with the quiet, insidious creep of dread, like frost forming on a window pane. What if you didn't come here? What if you never truly left? The thought coils in your mind, cold and venomous, weaving itself through the fragments of your sanity. The world above the sunlight, the bustling streets, the familiar faces suddenly feels like a fragile illusion, a meticulously constructed coping mechanism. Perhaps it was all just a beautiful lie, a dream you desperately clung to, a comforting narrative spun by a mind unwilling to face its true, subterranean reality. Maybe this unending darkness, this labyrinth of damp brick and echoing despair is your truth, the true landscape of your existence, revealed only now that all pretenses have been stripped away. The whispers in the walls, the looping laughter, the child with the unpopping balloon, they aren't intrusions into your reality, but rather the natural inhabitants of a place you've always been destined to occupy. It's a profound, horrifying irony that the escape you sought by descending into the unknown was merely a journey back to yourself, to a deeper, more fundamental prison. Every memory of the surface world now feels distant, fragile, like a photograph bleached by too much sun. Was that life truly lived, or merely imagined? A comforting fiction crafted by a part of you desperate to avoid this inescapable truth. The air here, once merely heavy with the scent of decay, now carries a faint, acrid tang, like the residue of a forgotten dream, or the lingering scent of a lie finally exposed. There's a peculiar, almost sardonic amusement in this realization, a dark joke played on your very sense of self. The notion that you were always here means that every struggle, every fear, every moment of terror you've experienced in this sewer wasn't an imposed torment, but a natural consequence, a terrifying reflection of your inherent state. The exhaustion, the gnawing anxiety, the feeling of being watched and measured, they weren't inflicted upon you, but rather simply were, always, waiting for you to shed the illusions and acknowledge your true dwelling. It's a complete dismantling of your personal narrative, a chilling redefinition of your own history. This realization doesn't bring panic, but a quiet, profound resignation. How could you fight a prison that is, in essence, yourself? The sewer isn't an external threat. It's an internal landscape made manifest, a physical representation of the deepest, most uncomfortable truths of your being. The dripping water, which has been your constant companion, now sounds less like a clock and more like the rhythmic pulse of your own trapped existence. An endless, monotonous beat echoing through the cavern of your own despair. You might even find yourself smiling, a thin, humorless twist of the lips, at the sheer elegance of the deception. to believe you were escaping, only to discover you were returning home. It's a cosmic punchline, delivered with the cruel precision of a seasoned comedian. And the more you try to push against this idea, the more firmly it embeds itself, a cold, unyielding certainty that settles deep in your bones. And as this terrifying truth solidifies, weaving itself into the very fabric of your being, you begin to wonder, with a profound melancholic dread, what other parts of this sewer were always waiting within you, dormant, just waiting for the perfect moment to emerge. The clown is not singular. This truth unfolds not as a revelation, but as an ancient echo, a deep resonance within the very structure of the sewer that has, by now, become indistinguishable from your own consciousness. He is not a lone entity, not a mere creature. He is form, yes, the painted grin and the tube-bright balloon, but he is also myth, a whisper carried on the subterranean currents, a persistent dread woven into the collective unconscious. He is a legion in one, a timeless entity whose essence fragments and reforms, 1,000 tiny reflections in every drip of water, every shadow, every fleeting moment of your fear. This part explores Pennywise as an eternal archetype, a primordial fear given shape, an ancient and cyclical horror that has always been and always will be. He is the monster under the bed, the dread in the dark, the quiet terror of the unknown, all rolled into one impossibly grinning, cosmic entity. He doesn't merely exist in this sewer. He is the sewer, and the sewer is a conduit, a vessel for his boundless, timeless being. The very air you breathe feels charged with countless unseen presences, each one a facet of his multifaceted horror, a silent chorus of ancient malevolence. The more you fear him, the more real he becomes. This is the cruel, self-fulfilling prophecy of his existence, the core of his dark magic. Every shiver of apprehension, every choked gasp of terror, every moment of sleepless dread fuels his reality, strengthens his hold, gives him more substance. You are not just a victim, you are an unwitting participant in his eternal becoming, a sculptor of your own torment. It's a parasitic symbiosis, where your fear is his very lifeblood, and in turn, his existence perpetuates your terror, an endless, horrifying loop. He is not bound by a single narrative, a single place, or a single time. He simply is an ancient idea, a recurring nightmare that has manifested across countless epochs, wearing different faces, whispering different names, but always, always feeding. The walls around you, which earlier seemed to breathe, now almost hum with the echoes of his myriad manifestations, a silent gallery of his terrifying artistry across the ages. This realization brings a chilling sense of smallness, of utter insignificance in the face of such vast ancient malevolence. You might feel a strange, almost spiritual connection to this profound, cyclical horror, a melancholic understanding of its eternal nature. He is the shadow that lurks at the edge of every happy memory, the quiet doubt that whispers in every moment of joy. He is the fear of being truly, utterly alone, magnified and given teeth, and the knowledge that he is not singular, but a countless multitude of terrors, a legion of nightmares embodied, only deepens the profound existential dread that now settles like a shroud over your very soul. The constant exhaustion, the relentless psychological assaults, the twisting of your memories, it all serves to weaken your defenses, to make you more susceptible to this overarching truth. You are not fighting one monster. You are struggling against an ancient, primordial force that permeates reality itself, a timeless concept made flesh, then dissolved back into myth, only to be reborn again and again through the fertile ground of human fear. It's almost amusing, in a dark, twisted way, to realize how utterly outmatched you are, how perfectly designed this trap has been from the very beginning. And as the understanding of Pennywise's legionary nature settles deep within your mind, you begin to perceive, in the deepest shadows, the subtle, almost imperceptible glint of countless other eyes, watching you, waiting, each one a fragment of the one eternal gaze. You keep seeing it, that same red balloon. It drifts through the gloom, a stark, impossible splash of vibrant crimson against the perpetual twilight of the sewer. Around every turn, in every new, shifting corridor, there it is, always hovering, always grinning with an unspoken, malevolent glee. It's not just a balloon. It's a living, breathing metaphor for the fears that follow us, the ones we try so desperately to ignore, the ones we believe we've left behind, only to find them patiently waiting, perfectly buoyant, perfectly deadly. It's the visual punchline to a cosmic joke, played out endlessly in this subterranean theater of dread. It defies all logic, this balloon. It should be deflated, waterlogged, covered in grime. Yet, it remains immaculate, perpetually inflated, its surface reflecting a distorted, mocking image of your own desperate face. You might try to avert your gaze, to focus on the crumbling brick, the dripping water, anything else. But your eyes are drawn back to it, as if tethered by an invisible string. It's an insidious, visual anchor, linking you irrevocably to the source of all your terror, a constant, taunting reminder of who truly holds the strings here. The red balloon is a symbol of innocence corrupted, of childhood joys twisted into instruments of profound horror. It represents the alluring facade, the vibrant, inviting surface that hides the true, gnawing dread beneath. It's the sugarcoating on a bitter pill, the playful disguise for an ancient, insatiable hunger. And the fact that it never pops, never yields to the dampness or the unseen pressures of this place, only serves to amplify its unsettling perfection, its unnatural resilience. It floats with an almost graceful insolence, a silent, mocking witness to your escalating despair. Sometimes it seems to lead you, a silent guide deeper into the labyrinth, its red gleam a beacon in the oppressive gloom. Other times it simply hovers, motionless, observing you with a terrifying stillness, a silent sentinel of dread. Its presence is profoundly personal, almost intimate, as if it knows your every secret, every suppressed anxiety, and merely awaits the perfect moment to reflect them back to you in its impossibly shiny surface. It's a quiet, terrifying form of companionship, a constant, gentle pressure that never lets you forget where you are, or more importantly, who is watching. The exhaustion that gnaws at your bones, the blurring of reality, it all makes the balloon's presence even more potent, more hallucinatory. You might reach out to touch it, only for it to drift just out of reach, a playful, cruel dance of taunting. The air around it seems to shimmer faintly, imbued with a subtle, electric energy, a silent hum that resonates with the whispers and the looping laughter that still crawl through the pipes and walls. It's a masterstroke of psychological torment, a simple object elevated to the pinnacle of dread, precisely because of its unwavering, unnatural perfection. You begin to understand that the balloon isn't merely present, it's an active participant in your unraveling. It's the silent, ever-present jester, whose single, repetitive joke is your slow descent into madness. Every time you see it, a fresh wave of despair washes over you, a fresh surge of adrenaline that further drains your already depleted reserves. It's a beautiful, buoyant, an utterly deadly emblem of the inescapable fear that now defines your every waking moment in this place. And as the red balloon continues to drift, always there, always watching, always perfectly round and red against the grey and the dark, a chilling thought takes root. Perhaps it is not merely following you, but waiting for you to fully embrace the truth it represents. You see it, a ladder, a tantalizing glimmer of hope against the oppressive, endless dark. A shaft of light, faint and distant, pierces through some unseen opening above, beckoning you upward, promising escape, warmth, and the sweet release of a world that remembers sunlight. Your weary body, which has been screaming for rest, now finds a surge of adrenaline, a desperate primal urge to reach that impossible beacon. It's a cruel mirage, a tantalizing whisper of freedom, designed with an almost surgical precision to ignite the last dying embers of your hope. But no matter how fast you run, it drifts further away. Each desperate, stumbling step toward the light only seems to push it back, receding into the impossibly high ceiling of the sewer, like a joke told too many times, whose punchline is always just out of reach. The ladder, so solid in its initial appearance, seems to shimmer, to lengthen, to twist, defying all known physics. It's an optical illusion of the most malevolent kind, a cruel taunt from an unseen jester who finds endless amusement in your futile struggle. The light above flickers, almost as if it's winking at you, a silent, mocking signal that you are truly trapped. The only thing that stays. Pennywise, watching, waiting. He doesn't need to appear in full form. His presence is palpable in the very air, in the subtle shift of shadows, in the faint, unsettling echo of silent laughter that seems to reverberate from the impossible distance of the receding exit. He observes your desperate sprint, your gasping efforts, your slowly crumbling hope, with an ancient, unblinking amusement. This isn't a chase. It's a performance, and you are the star of his private, never-ending show, your futile attempts at escape serving as the ultimate entertainment. The air thickens with a peculiar blend of your rising desperation and the subtle, cloying sweetness of his enjoyment. You can almost taste the bitter irony, the exquisite cruelty of seeing salvation only for it to mock your every attempt to grasp it. The dripping water, which has been your constant soundtrack, now seems to accelerate, each drop a tiny mocking drumbeat, accompanying your fruitless pursuit, highlighting the relentless passage of time that means nothing here, yet still marks your agony. You might even hear a faint, high-pitched giggle, carried on an unseen breeze, a sound that is both childish and infinitely ancient, a sound that embodies the very essence of your tormentor. It's the laughter of true indifference, the mirth of an entity so far beyond human comprehension that your suffering is merely a delightful, temporary distraction. This perpetually receding exit is a physical manifestation of the psychological prison he has built around you. A relentless reminder that hope, in this place, is the most dangerous of illusions. Your legs ache, your lungs burn, and yet you push on, fueled by a primal, stubborn refusal to surrender, even as a deeper, colder part of your mind acknowledges the futility of it all. The light, so close, yet so agonizingly far, becomes a cruel metaphor for everything you've lost, everything you can no longer reach. It's a final, elegant touch to the nightmare, a grand finale that leaves you exhausted, broken, and utterly devoid of any remaining illusion of control. And as the unreachable exit continues to drift, teasing, taunting, a profound, unsettling peace begins to settle over your weariness. A quiet acceptance of the fact that the only constant in this shifting, terrifying reality is the silent, amused presence that will never let you truly leave. A soft, unsettling closing now descends, not with a crash, but like a heavy, velvet curtain settling over a stage, slowly, inevitably. Perhaps this story wasn't a warning at all, but something far more insidious, a quiet recognition. The thought doesn't arrive as a shock, but as a melancholic whisper, a truth that has been waiting patiently, just beneath the surface of your awareness, for the perfect moment to reveal itself. Maybe the sewer isn't a physical place, with damp bricks and echoing pipes. Maybe it's a state of mind, a profound, inescapable condition of being that you've unknowingly inhabited all along. It's the quiet dread that bubbles up when the house is too silent, the sudden, irrational fear that whispers from a darkened corner of your room. It's the unsettling feeling of being utterly alone, even in a crowd. The truth, perhaps, is that the darkness isn't out there, waiting for you to step into it. It's already within, a subterranean current flowing beneath the surface of your everyday life. A constant, low hum of anxiety and unspoken fears. And Pennywise, then, isn't just a monster in a sewer, but the embodiment of those very internal shadows, given grotesque, playful form. The looping laughter, the endlessly drifting red balloon, the silent, watching child, they are not external phenomena, but manifestations of your own deepest, most persistent anxieties, given substance by the very act of your own fear. This entire journey, this descent into the horror, wasn't a geographical expedition, but a psychological unearthing, a forced confrontation with the hidden landscapes of your own subconscious. It's a cruel, poetic irony, a masterfully crafted illusion where the victim believes they are trapped in a place, when in reality they are trapped by themselves. The exhaustion that has plagued you, the relentless sleeplessness, the blurring lines between dream and reality, these are not effects of the sewer, but symptoms of your true condition, the internal turmoil that has always been brewing just beneath your composure. The physical suffering mirrors the mental unraveling, a perfect, horrifying symmetry. And in this chilling recognition, there is a strange, almost liberating acceptance, a quiet surrender to the fact that you have been, and perhaps always will be, swimming in these murky depths. This story, then, is less about a place you visit, and more about a place you discover you already inhabit. The call from below wasn't an external beckoning, but an internal resonance, a part of you acknowledging its true home. It's a melancholic, almost beautiful tragedy. This realization that the monster you feared was, in essence, a reflection of the fears you carried within. A truth too profound and too unsettling to ever truly escape. The air around you feels different now, not just damp and cold, but heavy with the weight of this newly acquired self-knowledge. There's a quiet hum, a resonance that seems to emanate from your very core, a sound that is both terrifying and profoundly familiar. It's the sound of your own existence, echoing in a space that has always been uniquely yours. A silent acknowledgement of the truth that has always lingered just out of reach. And so, as the final shadows embrace you, and the last echo fades into the profound stillness, a single, haunting question remains, whispered on the silent, timeless currents of the sewer that lives inside. You fall asleep every night, but where do you wake up?